this video, we're going to cover Amazon's Silk web browser. Now, the Amazon Kindle Fire is Amazon's first ever tablet device. They've made e-readers in the past, but actually this is their first ever real tablet device. And with this tablet, they've launched their own web browser, and it's called the Silk web browser. And the premise behind the Silk web browser is to leverage Amazon's backend to do all the pre-rendering of what you might be searching for on the internet. So some of the tablet's horsepower is used to render the web page, and some of Amazon's backend is used to render the web page. So let's say you go to your favorite website. Amazon determines what you might be clicking on next, and it pre-loads those pages up for you so it can serve it up to the device faster. Now that's the theory on the web browser, the Silk web browser itself. In practice though, I haven't seen much of a difference, if any difference at all, on the speed of the web browser. Now this might be attributed to the fact that the Silk web browser is brand new. So hopefully over time Amazon will refine it and make it faster. That's not to say that the web browser is slow at all, but I haven't noticed any incredible upticks in speed using this browser. So I'm just going to go through what you can expect on the web browser. And it's actually, you have your table of contents up here when you turn on your device. And it's actually the last selection here is web. So you click on that, and the first thing you're greeted with when you bring up the Silk browser are all of these bookmarks here. Now these are all your previously viewed sites, so you can just jump to them at any time. Or you can use the unified URL bar and search bar right up here at the top. Now the browser offers tabbed browsing, as any Android tablet does. So if you want another tab, just click on the plus icon here in the upper right hand corner, and you have another tab. Now one thing to note about this is that your tabs, you can't move them around. On some browsers you can by dragging them back and forth. On this they're pretty much stationary. And you can increase the amount of tabs just by adding more whenever you want them. And then you scroll through them to find the one that you want to jump to. And of course, if you want to dismiss a tab, there's an X on the upper right hand portion of that tab, and you just get rid of it. And I had a bunch there, that's why you couldn't tell it was leaving, but I was dismissing them as I was going along. Now when you're greeted here with this blank page, you have your characteristic Android buttons down here, your home button, your back button, you have a forward button here, you have your menu button, and you have a bookmark button. So there's two other buttons in here that are not characteristic Android buttons but are on this navigation bar down here. Now obviously I don't have anything that I've delved into any of these tabs here, so I don't have any forward that I can do. But let's see what the menu button does here. It brings up, you can bring up your history, your downloads, and your settings. Let's check out the bookmarks tab here. Now these are all pre-made bookmarks on this device. I have yet to put any bookmarks on this tablet. In this it's organized in a grid, or you can actually click on the list mode over here and it'll show you the bookmarks in a list. Now you have your characteristic Android search button here. I'm going to click on that, and it brings your URL bar up here. Now the one thing I do like about this browser, as I like in Google Chrome, is that you have a unified URL and search bar, so you don't have it separate, which for me makes things a lot faster. So let's click on the URL/search bar here and look up a website. This browser supports Flash, and as far as I'm concerned, that's the way to go. I want a device that supports Flash. HTML5 might be the future, but the present is there's a lot of Flash on the internet, and I don't want to have 80% of the internet on the device when I'm using it. I want to have as much content on there as possible. So it's important for me to have Flash. But as you can see, you can scroll through the list here, and if you want, you can just pinch to zoom. And everything seems really responsive. And of course, if you don't want to pinch to zoom, you can actually do the double click and you can zoom in and zoom out that way. And as with any web browser, you have a reload button, and it's up here in the upper right-hand corner of the URL/search bar there. Now, I showed you what the menu button would do when you were on a blank page. But now that I'm actually on a regular page, I can click on it and it gives me a couple of more options. I can add this page to my bookmarks. I can actually share this page if I want, and I can search within the page and find whatever I want. So I could type in a term and it would look it up on the page, which actually comes in handy if you're doing a Google search, and sometimes Google will pick up a sentence that you might be looking for, but it's really buried deep within the content of the page that you bring up. So it's nice to be able to bring it up here and just have a quick find in page option right here, just basically 2 clicks away. Now when you scroll up on the page, you'll notice that the URL/search bar disappears, but the tab is always up top there. If you want, let's say you're further down on the page and you don't want to scroll all the way up to change to another page to type something in, you can, of course, scroll all the way up if you want, or you can just touch the tab and it'll bring that bar down here, and then you can type in whatever you want. So that's a nice handy feature on there that you can hide, and it gives you more screen real estate so you can actually look at the content on the website, and then when you want to move on, you can just click on that and type in whatever address or search term you might want to be looking at next. Now, your on-screen keyboard here is functional. You have a full QWERTY keyboard, and on the top row you actually have your numbers there. So you would long press on the letter and it would bring up the option to use the number. You have a nice .com button here, which is nice and handy. It saves you 3 keystrokes. And then of course you have your alternate keyboards here with your punctuation and your numbers if you just want that. And then you can hide your keyboard here if you want as well. So that's the Amazon Silk browser on the Amazon Kindle Fire tablet. I find it to be a very capable web browser. As I mentioned before, I don't really notice a huge increase in speeds because of the backend, Amazon's backend that supposedly pre-renders a lot of the stuff for you, but a very capable browser nonetheless. So that pretty much does it for this video. Check out my other videos on the Amazon Kindle Fire tablet. There'll be a link at the end of this video. So that's it for now. I'll see you guys next time.